Hi everyone, welcome to Great Glen Yoga. My name's Rachel and today I'm going to be taking you through a restorative reclined yin yoga practice. So pretty much all of the postures that we're going to take today are going to be done on our backs. So it's a real opportunity to fully relax, fully ground into the earth and really enjoy some nourishing stretching. I really like this recline practice because as someone who lives with multiple sclerosis, sometimes lots and lots of intense activity just isn't available to me. So having something that allows me to take some time, rest, get some really nourishing stretches in is fantastic. And this kind of yin yoga practice is something that no matter what's going on in my body, no matter how I'm feeling, it's pretty much always accessible to me. So I hope that this is a practice that will be accessible to you on whatever you need on any given day, and something that'll be really enjoyable. We're definitely going to be at the more restorative end of a yin yoga practice. So very much an opportunity to utilize any props that you have around. So please, if you have a bolster, have that to hand. We'll definitely be using that in a few of the poses. If you don't have a bolster, then bed pillow would be absolutely fine, just something that's got a bit of length to it and a little bit of firmness. You can also have some blocks to hand. There'll be opportunities to utilise those. If you don't have a bolster, the blocks could work as well, or even just some big couch cushions, they could be used as well. Anything else that you've got to hand, rolled up blankets, towels, anything. We're just going to really make sure that we use as many props as possible to make sure that these poses are as accessible to us all as they can be and as relaxing and nourishing as they can be as well. So as it's a recline practice, we're going to begin on our backs and we're going to begin in a figure 4 position. So just take your time to get down onto your back. There's no hurry in this yin yoga practice. We're going to move slowly and mindfully wherever we go in this practice. So gently lower yourself down and just take a moment to center yourself on your mat. Really snuggle those shoulders down into the ground. Feet are nice and steady on the floor, and we're ready to get into some really lovely stretches in this yin yoga practice. So for figure 4 pose, we're going to begin with our right leg. So if we keep the left leg, left foot grounded onto the mat and just lift the right foot across and place it on the top of the left knee. Now, for some people, this is as far as you might want to go in this pose, particularly if you have any issues in the hips or the knee, perhaps. This is a good enough stretch. This is a lovely, lovely way of getting into the hip, into the side of the right leg, into the right knee. So this is a wonderful place to stay if that's where it feels best for you and your body. If you are wanting to take it a little bit further, then what we can do is we can lift the left foot off the ground, reach through with our hands and just clasp either behind the left thigh, or if you want to take it a little bit further, you can clasp the front of the left shin. I think today I'm going to go for behind the thigh. So just get your fingers interlaced behind whichever part of the leg you choose. And then we're just going to rest and relax here. The important thing with figure 4 pose is that we're trying to keep that right knee flexed outwards rather than coming in towards the body. And then left leg can be nice and relaxed. And you are using a little bit of arm strength to kind of pull that left leg in, but really we want the arms to feel still as loose as possible, shoulders relaxed onto the ground. It can be nice just at the beginning of this posture just to rock a little bit side to side, just to begin to enjoy that massage into the right hip and just feel the beginning of the effects of this pose on the body. Close down the eyes and just relax. come out of this posture, we're just going to release the hands and guide that left foot back to the floor really gently, and then we can unravel the right foot. And just before we come over to our figure 4 pose on the second side, we're going to take a knee to chest pose on this right side. So you can take hold of the right knee and just start to bring it in towards the chest. And again, you can either keep that left leg grounded onto the floor if that feels better for you, or if you want it slightly more intense, you can just start to slide the left leg out and keep that left leg nice and loose, nice and relaxed, and bring that right knee in towards the chest. So similar to figure 4 pose, we've got a little bit of arm strength going on here, but really we're not looking for rigid arms. Keep the arms as relaxed as you can. And it can be nice here, just in the first maybe 30 seconds or so, just to rock slightly, bringing that right knee out to the armpit and back in towards the chest just a few times. Really nice massage of the right hip crease there. It can feel really nice. As with all of our yin yoga practices, if you feel your mind start to wander mid-pose, maybe you're reflecting on something you did earlier today or thinking about what comes next, just bring yourself back to the breath. Bring yourself back to the sensations in your body. There's nothing else we need to do here just now other than breathe and relax. To come out of this posture, we'll just raise the left leg again, keeping the left foot on the floor and just bringing that knee back up to point towards the ceiling, and then we can just gently release the right foot to the ground to join the left. And it might be nice here just to stretch out both legs just while we reflect on how those first two postures have made us feel, particularly on the right side of the body, before we focus on the left. So we'll just slide the feet back up to our original starting position, and we'll take things over for figure 4 pose on the other side. So we're just going to lift the left leg and place the left foot on top of the right knee. And again, as before, if this feels enough for you, there's still a lot going on here. Just stay here and enjoy the feeling of this in the left outer hip, into the left knee. This could be absolutely enough. Or if you want to take it a bit further, you can lift the right foot off the mat, interlace the fingers either behind the right thigh or the right shin. And as before, I'm going to take my hands behind my right thigh, pressing that left knee out away from the body and just relaxing that right leg, that right foot, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed and grounded onto the mat. And again, as before, maybe a little bit of rocking just to ease into the sensations. That can feel really nice. Just massaging the low back against the floor. To come out of the pose, we'll release the right foot to the ground and take the left foot down to join it. And we'll just pause here for a couple of breaths before moving on to our knee to chest pose on this side. So we'll lift the right knee, bring that in towards the chest, and like before, I am going to slide that right leg out. But if you'd like to keep the foot to the floor, the right foot, that's absolutely fine as well. Having the leg just extended just helps us work a little bit into the hip flexor on that leg, which can feel really nice. And again, I'm just going to do this little bit of a massage here of the left hip crease, just taking the knee out to the side and back in just for the first few moments in this pose. we'll ease out of this pose. We can bring the right leg back up and just gently release the left foot down to the ground. And again, let's just stretch both legs out long and just take a moment to relax here before we move on to our next posture. So although I said all of these poses would be reclined, I am going to sit up slightly just for the preparation of this next pose. So we're going to come into saddle pose. And we're going to use our bolsters for this. So just gently come up to a seated position and grab your bolster, or if you're using a pillow, grab that. And we're just going to place that on the mat behind us. So making sure that we've got that length behind us because we're going to bend back over that. And then we're going to pay a little bit of attention to how we're going to have our legs in this pose. So there are a couple of different ways we can do saddle pose. I'm going to show you both of them. So the first one is to bring almost a very similar preparation to if you were coming into a wide-legged child's pose. We're bringing our toes together, we're sitting back so that the bum is kind of cradled into the feet. Legs are slightly wide, slightly wider than the hips. And then you can just ease your way back onto the bolster, down onto the forearms, and all the way back down. And this can be a really nice pose. This gives a really good stretch into the hip flexors, but it sometimes can be a little bit much on the knees. And also if your feet are a little bit sensitive, having the kind of weight onto the feet can be a little uncomfortable. So the other way, and this is the way that I'm going to do it, is to just open out the legs and settle your bum in between your feet. And it really depends on your anatomy as to how comfortable this will be. It depends on kind of your hip flexibility and how open you are in that area. But yeah, it can be lovely to just have this, this seated position with the feet and the legs like this. So you're looking for kind of nice straight lines of the two legs beside you, toes face down on the mat, and then you can start to work your way back down onto the bolster. So whichever one of those feels best for you, play around, see which one gives you the best feeling. And if neither of those feel okay, then we can come into this pose, but with, say, butterfly legs instead. So just see what it feels like for you. But once you've got your leg shape that you're happy with, we'll just start to work our way back down onto the bolster and find a place on that bolster that feels right for you. So you can use the first few seconds of this posture just to get that feeling right. Your feet in the right position, your back being supported on the bolster. And then with your arms, you can either have them down by your sides, palm facing up, or if you'd like to stretch a little bit into the neck, the shoulders, the upper back, a little bit into the chest, take the arms above your head, clasping the elbows and just nuzzling into the bolster there. So yeah, find what feels good for you. I think the wonderful thing about yin yoga, and particularly when we're looking at kind of more restorative versions, is there's so many props we can use, there's so many variations of a pose, so many modifications we can make, that there will always be something in the pose that can feel really special for you. There's always a way of doing it that will feel absolutely fantastic. So it's just sometimes a matter of trying a few positions out. And just sink into this. So just be mindful when coming out of saddle pose. This is quite an intense pose and there's been a lot going on, so let's just take it really slowly. So if you had your arms above your head like me, just gently release them and bring them back down to your sides. And we're going to use our hands and our arms to just help us to come back out of this pose. So putting the palms to the floor, just start to raise the head and the neck, and then push into the forearms and then into the palms to lift ourselves back up. To release the legs, I'll settle over slightly onto one hip to bring the other leg out in front, and then do the same for the other hip and leg. And we'll just take a second here to just allow the legs to rest in front of us, stretched out nice and long. Palms can go behind us and we can just relax into this. Enjoy the reaction of your body to that quite, excuse me, intense pose. We've got a lot going on in the legs in that pose. We've got a gentle back bend, so just give yourself a second to just come out of that fully before we move on to the next pose. So we're going to come back down onto our backs for the next pose. So just move the bolster just slightly to one side. We are going to use that again in the next pose, or potentially your blocks. So just gently lower yourself down, and we're going to come into waterfall pose next. Now I really like this pose, and it's a pose that I discovered a little bit later in my yin yoga journey, but I find it wonderful for the legs. I think for me and for anyone else who has any health conditions that can affect the legs, can make them uncomfortable, can give you pain, this can be such a wonderful pose for just giving them a total break, that feeling of weightlessness. And I think as well, if you're someone who is on their feet a lot all day, or if you're sat at a desk all day in one position, this is just a wonderful releasing pose for the legs. So we're going to just use the feet to lift our hips and slide the bolster underneath. So you want it just kind of where your hips and pelvic area is. You can use a block for this instead. If you don't have a bolster or you don't have a pillow, that's absolutely fine. Just pop it under the hips as well, or under the small of your back. And then we're just going to gently raise the legs into the air. And you might just need to take a second just to get that bolster in the right place for you and take the legs to the sky. And it is just such a wonderful posture because we're not doing anything. We're really just letting the legs relax, release. And I think we all need to do that sometimes. And just enjoy that feeling of weightlessness. You're supported completely by the ground and by your bolster. And just gently bring the knees in towards the chest and just gently release the feet down to the ground. And we're going to stay here in this position for our next pose. So it can either be a supported bridge where you keep your feet grounded onto the floor, or if you want to and if it feels good, you can stretch both legs out in front of you and just really have that wonderful stretch into the hip flexors on both sides. And if you'd like to, you can also take the arms just above the heads. Again, just giving a very, very gentle stretch into the upper back, the chest, the shoulders. If this doesn't feel right though, go back to the version with the feet planted on the floor. Just again, find what feels good for you. But this should feel really wonderful across the hips, across the pelvis, into the tops of the legs. And you've got that really nice gentle back bend as well. And to release from this pose, just bring your arms, if you had them above your head, just back down by your side. Take the feet back to the floor, push into the feet, lift the hips, and you can move your bolster off to the side. So we're coming into Shavasana now. So again, use whatever you'd like to make that more comfortable. If you'd like to place your bolster under the knees, if you've got a blanket that you'd like to use, a pillow for the head, anything you like, just get cozy and comfortable and we'll get ourselves settled. Feet hip distance apart, hands down by the sides, palms facing up, snuggling the shoulders into the ground and just release everything. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I hope you've got some benefits from this restorative reclined yin practice. You stay in this Shavasana for as long as you like. It can be really lovely to just continue on for 10, 15, 20 minutes even, just feeling the effects of the practice. So just think about how you felt when you came onto your mat versus how you feel now. And I hope to see you again at another class soon.